It's August, and that means peaches be crazy. They're everywhere, and there's only so many I can eat over the sink in the middle of the night.
Let's spend time with Marco, but the food is the star, so it's probably worth sharing.
Hello, I'm Marco, and welcome to my home kitchen. Today I want to show you how to make a peach caprese salad. This has been one of the delights of my summer. It is such a good recipe. And you can scale it up and down to make one portion for yourself for lunch or a whole tray to take to a summer barbecue. Traditionally, a caprese salad is made with sliced tomatoes, sliced mozzarella, and basil to look like the Italian flag. I'm not Italian, and this is not traditional. It's just a really wonderful way to experience the joy of summer through tomatoes and peaches, which are ripe at the same time. To serve 4 people, you need 500 grams of stone fruit. I'm using peaches, but you could use apricots, cherries, plums, whatever is in season. 500 grams of tomatoes, 250 grams of fresh mozzarella, burrata, or ricotta, 25 grams of basil, mint, or parsley, 45 milliliters of good olive oil, 15 milliliters of a good balsamic vinegar, and salt to taste. Putting this together is easy, it's just some chopping, but there's a little bit of nuance in how to do this safely and to make it look pretty. So let's start with the peaches. To slice peaches, I like to use a small paring knife. You can see there's this natural line that forms. You don't want to cut that way. Instead, cut the opposite direction across the equator of the peach, and then twist it back and forth gently like an Oreo. You can see how cleanly those two sides separated. Now to get the pit out, you want to cut it along that natural line inside of the peach. Then do that same Oreo twisting motion, and then pop out the peach pit. You'll see that I have 3 pieces here now. Cut these in half lengthwise, and that will get you the perfect slices for the salad. That was relatively easy, and I have these beautiful slices of peaches to use. I know it can be hard to time getting perfectly ripe peaches. If you end up with peaches that are a little too firm, you can sprinkle just a little bit of salt on top of them while you cut the tomatoes. This is going to help draw the moisture out of the peaches to the surface and really help tenderize them, which will give them an even texture throughout the rest of the salad. So I'm gonna set these aside and show you how to tackle the tomatoes. Tomato skin is slippery and bouncy, and it is prone to causing knife accidents. So instead of using a knife like this, I like to use a serrated knife to cut tomatoes. I think it gives you better, thinner slices, and it lowers the risk of the knife sliding off and cutting you. I'm using heirloom tomatoes that come in a wide variety of colors and sizes, which is going to look really pretty. You want to try to keep them a relatively even thickness. So for example, this tomato is really ripe. It's a little bit squishy. And with the serrated knife, I can very easily slice it into these beautiful pieces here. You can see that's just like such a lovely color inside. For the cherry tomatoes, I'm just going to cut them in half. For these larger tomatoes, I'm going to cut them into 1/4 inch thick slices. One of my other favorite parts of summer is the sudden unpredictable rainstorms when it looks like it's midnight at 4 in the afternoon. For the basil, you have a couple of options. You can absolutely leave it whole. I do not like chewing whole basil leaves, so I am not going to do that. If you like that look, I would recommend that you fry the basil in olive oil for 30 seconds. That's going to make the basil look like stained glass, which will be really beautiful in a dish like this. The other option you have is to cut it, which you can either tear it by hand or use a knife. If you want to do this with a knife, stack all of your basil leaves and then tightly roll them up, then simply chop finely. This is going to give you some nice ribbons of basil, which will look nice in the finished dish. And like peaches, the sunlight has disappeared as soon as it arrived. I couldn't find fresh mozzarella at the store. I did find bocconcini, which is just smaller mozzarella. So if you're using fresh mozzarella, you want to slice it into 1/4 inch thick slices, similar in size to the tomatoes. If you're using burrata cheese instead, you'll want to break it up before you start assembly. You'll see that the burrata has a very creamy interior filling and more of a fresh mozzarella exterior. So you just want to rip this up with your hands. Break up the soft cheese that's on the inside, and then tear the slices of mozzarella on the outside into smaller, more bite-sized pieces. That's the cheese. Everything is sliced, the world is ending. Time to put the salad together. What I typically like to do is put any of the weird slices down first to kind of create a base layer. When you're using heirloom tomatoes, it's important to make sure you're distributing the colors so you don't end up with weird clusters like this. I like them more evenly distributed. So that's kind of my first layer of tomatoes. Now I'm going to put in some peaches. With the burrata cheese, you want to just drop it in place kind of randomly throughout. With the sliced mozzarella, you want to interweave it with the tomatoes. After your first layer, you want to give it a light coating of salt. Then put down your next layer. And save a couple of tomatoes for nice placement at the end. Put down more peaches. If you have any like misshapen ones, just kind of like tuck them into the side and hope no one notices. Like I hope nobody notices that the background changed. Now put the rest of your cheese. Again, if you're doing slices, you will have incorporated those throughout. And now those last tomatoes that were saved. Once you've arranged everything to your heart's desire, you can then sprinkle some of your basil on top, which is going to give it some nice pops of color. Then drizzle it with 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. You can also put a sprinkle of salt on to finish everything up. This is how beautiful it looks, and I'm gonna taste this before I have to find shelter from whatever the storm is. This is an absolutely enormous bite with a peach, a tomato, and some cheese. I'm gonna eat this over here so I can give this to other people. It's so delightful. It's sweet, it is tangy, it's creamy, it's herby. It's everything that I want in a summer salad on one plate. I love this dish. I've been making this so often since peaches have come in season. Like my summer storm, peaches are only around for a limited period of time. So you should enjoy them while they're here. This salad is a beautiful savory application that you can eat very frequently. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Assuming this doesn't turn into a tornado and sweep me away to the land of Oz, and then I will hopefully find my way back, but you'd never know what the Tin Man's gonna do.
It's probably worth sharing.
The way I discovered that peach caprese salad existed was I bought this shirt, and I was like, this needs a video. And I asked people on Instagram, what are your favorite peach recipes? And my friend Joe said, peach caprese salad. I was like, that sounds weird.